All right, we're ready for Coach Pearl. Reminder to state your name when you ask a question and your affiliation. Coach, just make a short opening statement, and we'll open up for questions.
We had to play well yesterday to beat Jacksonville State. I think Coach Harper probably talked about it afterwards, recognizing how we were playing in the last month or so versus when we were playing a little better basketball there in January. I'm sure they thought they had a chance based on what he had seen. We really stepped up defensively, and we were locked and loaded. I thought our guards did a great job guarding their guards. Jacksonville State had very good guards. Miami's got great guards. So the question now is going to be, are we going to be able to guard Miami? Because it's a step up, obviously, in class. Thought the guys did a great job of sharing the ball, and we were very excited about playing, and played well together, and they had fun. And we know that Miami is a nightmare to guard. They're one of the most efficient offensive teams in the country. They're running Bob McKillop's 5-out with just the kind of athletes that you can get in the ACC. And it's really hard to guard, and it's not something that you see all the time. We've guarded it. We played Davidson before a couple years ago in a tournament at Navy, and so we have an idea, but it's tough on a short prep.
Questions on the right?
Other than getting the win, how'd you celebrate your birthday? Any kind of cake? And also, how is the health of the team? New Bayern Football and AL.
Yeah, we actually had a couple of cakes. The hotel had a cake, and Brandy got a friend to drive a cake in from Knoxville at one of my favorite bakeries, and but I only allowed them to sing me happy birthday once, okay? We weren't going to go through that again. And, I can tell you right now, one of the sweetest times for coaches, and any coach that has been in this tournament can tell you, is that after a win, and then you're getting together with your coaches, and you're getting ready for that next one. It's just, these experiences are memorable. And so we worked last night until I fell asleep, and it was good. So we just stayed at the hotel and we worked.
Right.
Jalen Williams practiced today. He had some dental repair work done yesterday afternoon. He was evaluated last night and this morning with the concussion protocol. He passed. Doctors let him move around, and he wasn't bothered by it today in practice. We'll see if there's any residual effect later on tonight, but and we'll check him again tonight and tomorrow morning.
On the left.
Coach Johnny Conn at ABC 3340 Sports in Birmingham. Jim Larinaga has coached over 1,000 games, coached at small schools, coached at big schools. What's the identity of a Jim Larinaga coach basketball team?
I think the great thing about Coach Larinaga is he's been a system coach, but he's been willing to change his systems based on his personnel. And so what they're doing right now is not the same stuff they're doing necessarily a few years ago, and that's one of the marks of, I think, a great coach. Defensively, look, they turned USC over 18 times and had 22 points off turnovers. Turnovers has at times been an issue for us. So they had 3 guys in the top 5 in the ACC in steals, and they're going to try to get after us and be really handsy. And it's in the NCAA tournament, generally speaking, they let you play, and so we're going to have to be able to play through all the hands and all the strips and rips and be strong with the ball.
Pete Iacobelli.
Pete Iacobelli, Associated Press. Bruce, I'm sure you've broken down all of Miami's game yesterday. What do you take from that? The big lead, they lose a lead, the grit to come back, and the way they hold on at the end.
It's been very consistent with their season. They're in a lot of close games, and they win a lot of close games because they got great guard play. And they're not phased. I mean, they got tough. That's what happens when you get they got 3 6-year seniors. I mean, their best players have been, how many? 4? Yeah. My best player is 18. Their best player is 25.
Second row.
And by the way, Jabari really is 18.
On the subject of Jabari, 14 rebounds, and you guys are plus 18 in rebound margin. How excited were you to see that? And also, you're facing a team that only turned the ball over 3 times Friday. That's pretty unusual.
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes back to their guard play. We rely on creating offense for our defense and turning teams over. We were able to win without turning Jacksonville State over. We tried, we just couldn't. We'll try against Miami, and we won't be able to. Miami's not going to turn the ball over much. Ball's in the hands of too many good playmaking players. So we just got to guard throughout the possession and, try to find. We're not going to get as much in transition because they're going to get back defensively. So it will be more of a half-court game. I think we're just going to have to be good on both ends in the half court. The rebounding is, look, you're in the SEC and you're playing against those kind of athletes every single night. And with that size, so we did a pretty good job as a team rebounding against Tennessee or against some teams down the stretch, Mississippi State, big, strong, athletic. It was all we could do to keep people off the boards. That's not the way Jacksonville State was built. It's not the way Miami's built. So we'll be okay on the boards.
Third row.
Bruce, you talked about it there for a second, Miami wanting to kind of keep it a half-court game. What did they do against USC that obviously they were able to hold them down defensively pretty well? What did you see that they did well, and y'all scout what they do well in that game?
I mean, again, when you've got great guards and great ball handling guards and great playmaking guards, those guys don't turn over. They take care of the basketball. They don't have a great post-up game, and so when you're trying to throw the ball into the post, you need spacing. You need guys that can make those plays. There's a lot of contact, and there are certain things that they don't do that don't require you to try to turn the ball over. They're good in transition, but they're not out of control. Ball's in Charlie Moore's hands. He's going to make the right play at the right time. So get the ball. It's like, well, they're a great free throw shooting team. Well, not really, but the guys that go to the line all the time are great free throw shooters, and that becomes a great free throw shooting team. The ball's in the hands of playmaking guards for Miami, or even a playmaking big. The big kid can make plays and make shots, and that's why they don't turn it over.
Same row, next over.
Bruce, what stands out to you about Miami's defense? And yesterday held USC to 66, which is a little lower than they usually have been this year.
They switch like crazy. They double the post. They turn you over before you get a shot. They just they make plays. They're sunk into the paint, and now they're going to have it all packed in. And if you go in there and try to get in the lane, they're stripping and ripping. If you go in there and spin, go back the other way, they're coming off. And so obviously they're going to look at our shooting percentages in the half court, and they're going to like, man, every time Walker rolls to the rim, there's going to be 3 guys in there tagging him. So we're going to have to, again, they're going to force us to make some shots from the perimeter, and we'll have to make those to win.
Fourth row.
Hey, Coach. Georgia Chambers, WFF TV in Huntsville. So obviously with Jalen out and Kessler out for a period of time, what was the biggest difference that you noticed on the court with both of them out?
That Dylan was getting tired because Walker wasn't available, and I sent a manager into the locker room to tell Doc to hurry up, because Dylan needed out, and I knew Walker, put a Band-Aid on it, I'm not a doctor, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express, so, just let's get him out. Let's get him out there.
B. Jacobelli.
Bruce, I know you couldn't talk about it yesterday, right up here,
Yep.
but it's official now with Todd
Yes.
at Florida. Do you like going against your own guys? I'm sure it's happened to you before. And what kind of a job do you think Todd will do?
Man, that is a absolutely grand slam hire by Florida. Todd Golden, is in that next generation of brilliant young coaches, and the fact that the fact that Todd bet on himself, and this is so important for, I think, for anybody in any profession. If you want to be great, you got to bet on yourself. And so he leaves Columbia to come to be my director of basketball operations, you know. And then after a year, he becomes one of my assistants. And then, you know, he goes to San Francisco, gets back on the West Coast where he's kind of from because he's come Phoenix, to be the associate head coach at San Francisco. You know, some would say that's a lateral, but he's a heartbeat away from the job. His coach gets the Washington State job. He gets the job. He puts San Francisco in a position where people really think they can beat Gonzaga and St. Mary's and BYU, and he does so. And so, you know, when Florida's looking around, you know, for a coach, you got a guy with some SEC experience as an assistant. You got a head coach who's been successful in a very competitive conference. He played for a great coach at St. Mary's. He's worked for some pretty good coaches. And it may not have hurt to have Jay Jacobs as the number 2 at Florida with Scott Strickland. And I think Jay could vouch for Todd's character. I mean, I'm not excited about going against him. Like I told Scott, I said, like he's 10 points better than I am. He is. And I hope I have 15 points better talent when we go up against him. So very, very happy for Todd and his family.
On the left.
Bruce, I'm interested in the crash course of getting ready for these games against out-of-conference opponents that you're not so familiar with on such a short period of time. You've coached in this tournament before and you've advanced. What's it like that you and your staff get together, like at the hotel ballroom? How much film do you watch, and how difficult is it to put a game plan together at such short notice?
So what we've always done, and this has been I think a really good system. I have 3 full-time assistants: Ira Bowman, Wes Flanagan, and Stephen Pearl. And each of them have scouting teams. Those teams are made up of my director of basketball operations, my assistant director of operations, graduate assistants, managers. And so Wes Flanagan and his team, along with Chad Pruitt, had Jacksonville State. Stephen Pearl's team had USC. Ira Bowman's team had Miami. And those 2/3 of my staff was not at all worried about our opening opponent. And so we were working really, really hard, you know, for Miami as a staff. I wasn't, all right? I took a peek at both teams early in the week just to look at them, just to see them. And then, so last night, they were ready to get me ready. And then we showed the team a few things. Last night and this morning, they continued to work to get me ready. I got my team more ready. We went through a lot of stuff out there today, and we have tonight and tomorrow. So the short prep is not a problem. It really, truly isn't. What's going to take place on the court, especially tomorrow, is what Miami does is different. It's different. And we don't have I don't think anybody, we've not played anybody like Miami all year. That's going to be really a challenge, you know, for us. Not the prep, but the actual contest.
Middle. Next.
Bruce, you talked a little bit about the inexperience in the tournament, but a guy like Walker Kessler, who has some college basketball experience, 1 block away from a triple-double, what do you just take away from what he's been able to do, his growth from beginning when you got him all the way to now?
Well, I'm so proud of Walker. You know, one of the things I had to talk to Walker about before the game was just to relax and have some fun. He wants to win so badly because he doesn't want to disappoint his teammates. He doesn't want to disappoint his coach. He doesn't want to disappoint his family. And sometimes that can get in the way of just relaxing and playing. Every now and then it actually catches up with him on a foul line because he just wants it so bad. Whereas if you're just playing, you don't have time to think. You don't have to, you know, have that pressure. So for him to have success, for him to earn the respect of his teammates, and now, you know, be considered for the Defensive Player of the Year, as well as making first team all-conference and a lot of the other awards, it just validates what I've known since the first time I laid eyes on him, that he was special and he was a great player, and he's proved it this sophomore year.
Front row.
Bruce. Brian Stoltz, AuburnSports.com. You mentioned Cardwell getting tired. He's always riding that stationary bike on the end of the bench.
Who, Dylan?
Dylan, when he's out of the game, he automatically goes to the stationary bike. Have you ever told him to, like, maybe save his legs a little bit, or is it kind of a superstitious thing for him?
You know, it's probably superstition, but I might tell him to stay off the bike so he can get up and down the floor a little bit more. You know, Dylan is big, strong, and fast and athletic. I'm sure he does it to stay loose. I'm sure it could be probably just, it's probably good for his, for his own mental work to just, that routine. Players love routine, so that's probably just his routine.
Far right.
Michelle Kaufman for the Miami Herald over here on the side. I just got here a little bit late, so I hope you didn't get this question already. Could you talk about Charlie Moore at Miami and just, does he do anything? He's really completely transformed the team. What is it that he does that's different or special, or, what do you see in him?
Well, which Charlie Moore you want me to talk about? The one that was in high school in Chicago, or the one that played at Kansas, or the one that played, I know what you want me to talk about him at Miami. Man, he's a really, really special player. He is the head of the snake now. He's the guy. And he makes them all better. He makes them all go. He's got great courage. He reminds me of Wendell Green, except 4 years older, and having been, more experience. Unbelievable range, great hands, great feel. Reminds me of when you go to a playground and it's time to pick up sides. He might not be the first guy picked because he's the littlest guy out there, but his team's going to win every single time. Those little guys are the best players. Those little guys are the best players on the floor.
Okay, we got one question on the internet. Henry, you with us? You have a question for Coach?
Yeah, Bruce, this is Henry Bushnell from Yahoo Sports. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you, Henry.
Great. A bit outside
I
the
can't
box,
see you, but I can hear you.
Yeah, I gotcha. Sorry about that. This is a bit outside the box, but Tara Vanderveer, the Stanford women's coach, said the other day that for every three-pointer made in the NCAA tournament, she was going to pledge $10 to the Ukraine war relief efforts, and she challenged other coaches to join her. I'm wondering if you had heard about that at all, and about whether you'd like to join or maybe even one-up her.
Well, I sort of feel like this is a calling from up above because, this week, the Jewish people are celebrating the festival of Purim. And, Purim is a celebration of what Queen Esther did. Queen Esther was with the king of Persia in the palace, and she was Jewish. And Haman was a very close advisor to that king. And he was advising the king that maybe it was time to get rid of all the Jews. Queen Esther's uncle was Mordecai. My Hebrew name is Mordecai. And I think that my family gave me that name for this reason. Mordecai talked to Esther, the queen, and said, look, Esther, you might survive this for a little while, but you won't survive this. He's really going to kill all the Jewish people and your family. And he gave Esther the courage to try to see if she could turn the king's heart, and she did, and saved the nation. So some of you may be uncomfortable. You guys asked the question, right? You asked the question about Ukraine. We say never again. I was born in 1960, 15 years after they opened up the gates, and they saw 6 million Jews who were murdered and 3 million more people. And so if Tara Vanderveer wants money for three-pointers, I'll up whatever they're offering. I'm in. I'm all in. Help the Ukrainian people survive that. And I'm very concerned about what's going on in Iran with the king of Persia now. And if we embody that government, give them all that money, sign a bad treaty, it's going to put the world in jeopardy.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Time's up. Thanks, Coach.